Welcome back to the Daily Groomer podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Alex Martin, and today we have another great guest on the show. Her name is Shannon O'Dore. Shannon owns 6 vans and a 7th coming in the franchise model that is Aussie Mobile Pet Grooming. She's been at it and in the game since March of 2008. We have an expert here, folks. This is someone that has seen pre-COVID, which I know is a little bit new to a lot of us. And so I'm excited to bring her on today. We're going to talk all things hiring. We're going to talk all things hiring and training, retention, tips and tricks she's learned all along the way. So Shannon, thank you so much for joining us today. Honestly, it was a real pleasure to be able to get you on the show. As I was sharing with you before we even started, honestly, the biggest pleasure is just having someone on the show that's seen, the ups and downs of the different states of grooming and the economy and all that sort of stuff. I mean, starting in 2008, that was really right in the middle of the recession, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was tough times. Glad to be here, though. So.
Yeah, well, we made it through. So why don't you kick us way back then? I mean, it's 2008. We're in the middle of a recession, and you decide to get into mobile grooming.
Yeah.
Like that. How does that even happen?
Whew, yeah. It was a bit scary, we started looking in probably January, February of 2008. We finally decided that we're going to go to mobile grooming. That's what we wanted to do. We trying to get that first SBA loan, not a problem. They've never not had anybody approved. March comes and not a bank would look at an SBA loan. It just crashed and tanked, and we're just, what do we do? We've already put our money in, we've cashed in some retirement, our foot's in the door, and what do we do for money? So it was a big gamble, and we had to do a little bit of a loan shark way and take a whole bunch of line of equities to come up with the money. Oh yeah, it was tough. Come up with the money to be able to open the account. Like I said, it was either that or we lose some of the retirement we already threw in. And I said to my husband, I'm not going to fail. We'll make this work. So
I love it. I mean, that's a can-do attitude right there. Yeah. When you guys were getting going there and you were, kind of approaching this and the loan sharky path, was that to buy a van? Was that to buy into Aussie?
It was to buy into the franchise and then, of course, put the deposit on the first van.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was. So instead of having one nice loan of like maybe $2,500, we had about $6,800 in loans for the first 7 years. It was terrible trying to get out of it. It was really hard. So,
oh my gosh, and like a loan sharky agreement like that, I'm not sure how it was all cut together, but that's like a high interest sort of loan, right?
Yeah, it was tough. So, but here we are.
Okay, so you get started, a loan shark granted you the initial deal. You guys bought into Aussie. Now, what went into the decision to buy into a franchise versus starting one off on your own?
For me, it was my kids were tiny. I had been in the family business for 20 years prior. I didn't want to reinvent a wheel. And my kids were like preschool and first or second grade at the time. And I wanted a model to be able to follow with a little bit of backbone to support me. And it was a good decision. But I wanted to be home, to be able to work from home, and to be with my kids too. So that was a big decision. I chose what I chose so I could be there for them, have that flexible schedule. So.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I mean, when we ever have conversations, when I do with people that are looking to start out fresh within mobile grooming or even with brick and mortar, if it ever comes to franchise versus on my own, I always frame it as that there's never like one that's better than the other, right? It's just situational, right? You wanted to stay home, you wanted it to be a little more like structured and have much more support than reinventing or starting anything completely from scratch on your own. And so that's why that model worked out for you. Obviously it's worked out to today where you guys are 6 vans in and 15 years in and still crushing butt, right?
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So talk to us about what was the world of mobile grooming like in 2008, 2009? Well, how was it different than today? Were you still getting customers coming at you from all angles?
This was back in the Yellow Pages day. Are you kidding me? So, yeah, I remembered, advertising, and there was another franchise that actually tried to come into town too. And how they did it back then is they took your zip codes and divided up by the number of, the dollar amount by the number of zip codes you had. And he had like, 40 very small, further south zip codes, and I had 6. And he's bringing up these ads to me for like $8,500, and we're going to split it. I'm like, no, we're not splitting this. I pay for my 6 zip codes. You pay for your 45 zip codes. Thankfully, he didn't make it. Didn't last very long, and I didn't have to pay all that Yellow Page advertising. And then the other thing that worked back in the day was the Valpak, mailers.
Right. And those are like just like coupon packs.
Yeah, the coupon packs. So that's what we did way back in the day. And Thomas guides for routing the groomers. That was before the TomToms and stuff came. So yeah, I'm really dating myself. Anyways, today.
So that worked though.
Changed.
So like Yellow Pages and Value Pack, coupon style books back in the day. How would you recommend those styles today? I mean,
no, the only thing I would still do today that I did back then are door hangers. Oh. So when you're in a neighborhood, go down, and if you hear a dog barking or two and the neighbor or two, hang your kind of sort of business card on the door with the door hanger kind of thing. That's the only thing that we still do today that we did back then.
Some tactics never change.
No, no, it still works fantastic, on top of course Google ads and that kind of stuff we're still doing it today.
You guys are running Google ads today?
Yep.
Okay, talk to us a little bit about that. I know a lot of especially in today's environment, I would say that the typical kickback I might get from telling somebody they should run Google ads or they should have some sort of marketing strategy is we don't need it. Let's assume that's not true. Let's assume some people want it.
Right.
Talk to me a little bit about Google ads. Why do you guys do that? How does it work?
Yeah, it comes, you have your organic presence. Of course, being around for 16 years, we're there. So organic, we always sit really high. But if you want to sit higher, if somebody's doing a search for dog grooming, and if you want to appear by running Google ads, you're going to pop usually up in the top 2 to 3. Your name will appear. So, you can do anywhere from $100 a month to $500 a month to having minivans. We have a lot higher budget than that now. And it kind of varies on the time of year and that kind of stuff. But for not a lot of money, it's somebody putting in cat grooming or dog grooming or mobile dog grooming or, you're going to pop up at there with the bigger guns like PetSmart and Petco or any of the big box stores until your budget's gone. Right. And then you're not going to appear at the top. So.
And forgive me if I'm wrong, but like PetSmart and Petco and those guys they're running ads, are they not?
Yeah, they're running ads all the time. So.
I look at that all the time. It's like in a lot of zip codes, you might be the only one that outside of Petco and PetSmart running an ad. And again, we know how the consumer reacts to big box store with their pets and their animals. Yeah. Not fond a lot of the times, which is obviously what makes our industry what it is today. And so if you're up there next to those two big guns, not only can you steal a little bit of their brand credibility, because the consumer is going to look at that and say, oh, wow, look, they're like one of the first few, but also you're going to be kind of on an island as like a non-corporate person up there, which is great. And so kind of get that like double bang value for your buck there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we could talk guerrilla marketing all day. And on your back shelf there. I love that. But what I wanted to zone in on today with you is hiring, because like I mentioned in the intro, you've seen when times are good and when times are bad. And there's one constant that all of us face, whether times are good or bad, and that's the fact that we all need more groomers if we want to scale our business, right?
Correct.
Being one of the hardest things to find and keep, again, just because there's not enough of us out there, and there's, a million times more dogs than there are groomers, right? And so that's a high in demand topic, and given your experience, I wanted to kind of zone in on that. And so over your last, couple decades in grooming, can you share what have been some successful strategies in finding those quality groomers? I don't know if you've had any that have lasted all the way since 2008, but some of the ones that maybe have lasted close to that, are there any common threads that point out of like, okay, characteristically, before we even talk about like location, but characteristically, the highest quality groomers tend to have X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, characteristically. So I don't always look for experienced dog groomers and or cat groomers, but I'll look for handling. Have they been a trainer? Have they been, maybe a horse person? People that can ride horses and have done stuff with horses are great handlers of dogs. So those are some great key traits to look for. In fact, most of my staff, we have trained ourselves. But, we still look for the experienced groomers. And there's simple ways as to walking into those big box stores and say, hey, this is who I am. I own this blah business. I know you guys get a lot of overflow for, resumes. If you have any extras that you're not hiring, here's my card. Can you send some groomers my way? That has worked, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Wow. And do the managers ever get mad or ever
if you just go in very personable and talk and know that they're busy and know that they're probably not hiring, it's just a nice way to, hey, I'm not a competitor, I'm mobile.
Yeah.
So, but if you got anybody that, you guys aren't hiring and want to send my way, there's my card. And usually it's not that they'll refer anybody, but it's the staff listening in the room that hears you.
Right. I mean, I know some of the best groomers I know were trained at Petco, PetSmart, and Big Box. And again, it's one of those like weird catch-22s where, none of us really promote that as the best learning style or maybe even, the best techniques, but it seems to be the only constant place that's training new groomers, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's not enough schools, there's not enough, apprenticeship programs out there to keep that constant supply coming in. So I do like that strategy. Has that worked for you guys? It
has worked. It's worked in vet offices too.
Oh,
so let the vet office know also, because you got a lot of vet techs that have some clippering skills because they're shaving cats down. Granted, they're probably sedated, but they're shaving dogs down if need be. Some of the local vets will shave a severely matted dog and cat. Their vet tech will. So it works with the vet techs too, because it's a lot more money than what a vet tech would make.
I like that. And I mean, if you're a vet tech or even you're volunteering at a vet clinic, you might be a college kid or you might be, doing that on the side of something else as you're going through vet school or something like that, right? And it might be another one of those like, hey, I'm going to overhear you and I might go pick up some shifts, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I also like that both of these double as marketing opportunities too. I know that we said they're kind of done with the marketing stuff, but like just being nice and introducing yourself to the local, pet businesses, whether it be the vets or like the horse trainers and stuff like that. Show them, hey, I've got a friend in the space, and if I ever can't take a dog or I ever, have a client that needs a groomer, you're top of mind.
Yep, absolutely. And then for the most part, after that, you get into, advertising. Word of mouth is always great if you have other staff too. Hey, do you know of anybody? That always works.
Do you ever give a referral or anything like that?
We've done referral bonuses and stuff like that as well.
How does that seem to work?
I haven't yet had it work, but I know of other people that have had it work.
Right.
So it just kind of depends on your area. All the areas are, from what I've talked across the country with a lot of other business owners, they're all a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And some have an influx of lots of groomers, and others, they have no groomers. You got to make your groomers and train your groomers. And we've had a little bit of each, but a lot more luck training. So
interesting. So a lot more luck finding people that maybe are not groomers or not experienced groomers and training them up. Before we get to training, because obviously that's a big topic that you guys have probably explored every angle of, have you ever had any success with like the traditional, grooming school hire or an apprentice sort of program?
Yeah. My very first groomer I hired when we started back in 2008 came out of a grooming school. So,
okay. And what's been your experience with that?
It was great. It was really great. He was a great groomer. He also owned standard poodles, so that was really cool. And so I know he had, the hands-on skills before he went to grooming school. And it worked out. It worked out really good. It wasn't locally. I don't think he took it unless if it was an online school back then. I can't remember. I don't remember exactly what school it was back then. So, but there's none in Tucson. I do know that. So it's either online or up in the Phoenix area where they have to be an in-person school. So
got it. And so it was kind of just like, hey, this one school, we're going to try it out. But it's not like you guys have an approach where, hey, anytime we can hire from a school, we are going to hire from a school.
Yeah, just too far for us, unfortunately.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You see with all these online schools popping up, nowadays here and there, that maybe this solution will get a little bit easier, but again, you got the other side of the aisle still that, hey, we're grooming dogs.
Yeah, the little bit that I've had with the online schooling is, they don't have that experience,
Right.
and you don't. And honestly, they don't know if they can even handle dog grooming. It's a physical job, and the
Uh-huh.
two that I've looked at in online schooling physically, just it was too hard for them. Couldn't do it. So
Yeah, no, that is tough. I mean, you never really know how you're going to react, even as a groomer, until you're in behind the table. Okay, so you guys find them, and again, even before we jump to training, you have 6 fans. You're going to get a 7th. Talk
yes,
to me a little bit about when you start looking for that next groomer. You've done it supposedly 6 times now. I'm sure you've done it more than 6 times.
right, yeah.
Because you haven't had them all stay. When is it go time? Like, how much lead time do you give yourself before you need it, right?
Ooh, yeah. Well, training takes, or even just hiring to train, um, takes anywhere for around 2 months by the time you go through multiple interviews
Mhm.
and go through a ride-along interview and then go through their 2 weeks notice and then your training. It's at least 2 months. So I give myself usually 2 to 4 months, because there may be a person or two in there that take a little bit longer to get back to us, end up working or not working, just to have that little bit of leeway time. All my vans, how I know my vans are very full. And I mean, we're going into the quietest time of the year, and we can't get a client in for 4 to 6 weeks plus still. So yeah, I've needed a 7th van and more groomers for a little bit now. So, that's the great part about it when they do come aboard, is their schedules are ready to go.
Yeah, no,
So
100%. I've heard that, kind of echoed across. It's like, what do you mean lead time? Like, I'm trying to find groomers 24/7, right?
yeah, pretty much. I'm always looking. I really am. So,
So currently then, to go back to your strategies mentioned already, currently you guys are, trying to find that groomer from a big box store, or hoping that, maybe someone refers their friend, or, whatever. Have you guys had any luck with the online job postings like
yep.
LinkedIn or Indeed or any of that sort of stuff?
Yep, we have a lot of luck with them. We run 2 ads. We run one ad for experienced groomer, and then we run one ad for an experienced handler will train. So between the two, we get a handful of people to look at. So, and we're always looking.
Okay. And tell me, I mean, walk me through that, because I've heard some folks say that when they run an ad, they might get a lot of hits, but not a lot of them are quality. What does the process look like when you get inbound from that ad, right? So you guys have been running these 2.
Mhm.
What's it look like when someone applies? Do you guys have a paper, just a resume process where you'll look at their resume first, and if they pass that, then you call them? Are you calling them all first, or?
We do an initial 10 to maybe 20-minute phone call once we see a resume, and
What are you looking for in that 10
yeah,
to 20 minutes?
we're gonna ask if they're looking for full-time or part-time. Maybe they're relocating. Are you relocating? Are you, do you live near our area? And then, of course, if they're experienced, we're asking if they can do all breed cuts, if they have any weight restrictions, do they have a clean driving record, are they available to work a weekend day? So just kind of the basics of what we're needing are the main questions we're looking for. And then after that, we like to put them in a ride-along interview next, which is usually anywhere from a half day to a full day with a groomer. And that gives my groomer a chance to ask a lot of questions, to see what kind of personality they really like, what kind of work ethic they really have, to give me questions to ask when it comes time for an interview. We do have them do some online assessments usually as well, to see what kind of personality they have and how timely and stuff they are through those assessments. And
Why,
then, go
why does
ahead.
personality matter if they're going to be alone in a van all day?
Because they're dealing with clients.
Okay. So
Unfortunately, you can't just only have the dogs. You
sure.
have to deal with the clients, and you're in
Yeah.
their home. So it's a lot more, you have to be very professional. You can't show up with the, tank top and, you've got to be wearing, a uniform saying who you're at. And you're not some stranger walking off the street and,
Right.
be very professional about it. Do they have some kind of computer skills so they know how to operate your software, run the credit cards and that
Sure.
kind of stuff are some of the questions in the assessment too. So.
Talk to me about so to reflect real quick, it sounds like there's almost like a checklist that they for less or more need to meet, and then if they meet that, they get to that, and that's more of like the tangibles on paper. If they meet that, they get to the ride along phase, and the ride along phase is more the intangibles. How old do they act? Are they personable? What do they like in a client's home, etc. Right?
Correct.
You're kind of looking if that stuff's trainable, if that stuff fits your guys' brand, and that stuff fits your, the team that you're trying to build out.
Yep.
If they're there, what happens next?
Then they come to me and I meet them one-on-one.
Okay. And what are you looking for in that last meeting?
I am looking for a good personality.
Okay.
I am looking for somebody that knows their skills, knows what they're doing. I've seen before and after pictures by now, so I have some questions for them there with that kind of stuff. Cats, I always make sure they're willing to do cats because that is important for us in our business, that they can be a cat groomer as well as a dog groomer. So that's always a big, we get down and dirty with the cats when they're talking to me to make sure we can do them. Clean driving record again, all that kind of stuff we're going through. So those are a lot of the main questions.
That makes sense. Okay, very interesting. And then where do you draw the line on that's okay, you don't have that, we'll train you, and I'm sorry, but this is a non-negotiable for us. You need to have this.
Driver's license, obviously, clean driving record, they have to have.
Right.
Weight restrictions, if they can't lift anything over 40 pounds, that's tough. We're mobile and we got to do a lot of lifting, even though, we've got electric tables and, doors and stuff like that. And in the tub, they've got to be able to have that workload and be able to stand on their feet too. It's a long day to stand on their feet if you're not used to it. So those are a lot of it, training. They got to be able to do nails or have done some nails, because usually if they've done no nails, it is a struggle. If I cannot get them to do nails within 2 weeks, it's just usually not going to happen. That's just what I've found over the years. I mean, I've tried it, and then 4 months later, they're finally into it, and they are still struggling with the nails, and they just get frustrated and end up tossing their hands up and being done. So gotta get those nails done.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, that's a funny early indicator.
Yeah, it is, and I didn't think it was a big deal, but over these last 5 years, I'm like, it is a big deal. They have to do those nails quickly or it's just not going to work.
That's so funny. Okay. And then, before we jump onto the training, you said you're running these 2 ads. Are you running them on Indeed? Are you running them on Facebook?
I'm running them on Career Plug.
Career Plug
kind of tosses them out there everywhere.
Okay. So it tosses them out to all of the different job boards and stuff like that.
I've run Facebook ads separately. I don't get a lot of qualified people usually in Facebook. I've had a couple, but not usually very qualified. So.
Okay. And you don't have to share numbers if you don't want to. But I'm curious, you guys have 6 fans, and so it might make sense at your level to do that. Is the payoff there? Will you get enough responses if you run the ads? If you put small budget behind them, say I only have one van and I'm just looking for a second one.
Absolutely.
Low budget and still get qualified leads. Interesting.
Yeah. Payoff is still there. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and also this is for someone that you're hoping is going to stay for life, and so not life, but for a while here, right? Yeah, for more than just 2 weeks, and so you hope that ad pays for itself many times over.
Right.
But that's one of the questions that a lot of us will hear. Maybe people in your shoes that have multiple vans and be like, well, that makes sense because she can afford them, right?
Yeah, no, I started with Indeed way back when, I think it was maybe $250 a month, but it got me the candidates I needed way back then. So.
Okay, that makes sense. And I like your 2 titles. I've never heard the experienced handler one. That's unique, and I like that. That's the strategy there. Handler to train. And so let's talk a little bit about training. In mobile, do you guys operate more as I'm going to use it loosely, but almost like an apprenticeship sort of training where I'm riding along with you and you're kind of teaching me as you go through your day? Or is it more classroom style training?
No, it's more apprentice style for sure. Now, if we have an experienced groomer, usually it's 2 weeks. We do 4 10-hour days. I know we might talk a little bit about that too, but we do 4 10-hour days. So they basically have one of our lead groomers for 8 days. And the first week is all the apps, all the getting to know the truck. The second week, they're driving everywhere, going to all the appointments, probably, doing bathing and some of the maybe finished work or, a little bit of grooming here and there. But I always tell them when I train them, you're hourly plus a commission. This is my trainees' clients. You're going to have your own clients. They're her clients for 2 weeks. I'm paying you hourly plus commission, but for 2 weeks, they're her clients. You can, do what you want to learn and help, but after those 2 weeks, then you'll be making your money. So that's an experienced person. An inexperienced person, when we train them, again, just an apprentice, we start them sitting in the passenger seat for the first week or two with a little bit of driving, maybe at the end of the day. I mean, they're big vans. They're not everybody can drive them, and they're not used to driving them because they're tall and they're long and they're, 8,000 pounds and heavy. And,
and you're parking them a lot.
You've got no windows. You only have a camera. So, we train them to back into everything. That way you're not worried about backing into somebody leaving.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of little details in it. But so, the brand new rookie is going to be doing bathing for sure and learning those nails for the first week. And then the second week, probably nails, pads, sani, bath, blow dry, a little bit more into it. And then they're going to be starting into their clipper work. And by the end of the 6 weeks, they should have everything down, except for their timing probably isn't quite what it should be.
Okay.
And then after 6 weeks, they're on their own. Come week 7, their schedule's spread out a little bit more. I do meet them out for any breed cuts, anything I think they may need help with, and they're still basically in training for 4 months, but with some supervision when needed after that. So that's how we do the rookies and train them. So.
And when do you feel comfortable giving them, I'm sure you build up this wait list, you have this next van coming. When is it, all right, it's go time?
Go time is usually at week 7, of course, at a slower pace and supervised.
And slower pace and supervised, basically you're not scheduling their days as long or maybe just as many dogs per day.
They're as long, but not as many dogs. Yeah.
Okay.
So, on average for mobile, we're going to do maybe 6 to 9 dogs. They're going to maybe be doing 4 to 6 dogs, depending on what they have on their schedule. So.
Okay, got it. And I know you mentioned hourly plus commission already. Is that just for the trainees or is that for everyone is on this hourly plus commission model?
So when they're in training, they're all hourly plus commission. When they're on their own, then we do pay them on a commission percentage.
Okay, got it. That's interesting. And what made you think about going hourly plus commission during the training? Is that just because they're not their dogs, and so you? Yeah,
it's not their clients,
right.
And I'm paying, the trainee to train plus their commission. So it's a lot of money out of my pocket to pay the trainees to train on top of the trainee.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about that. Let's say I'm the trainee and you are the new rookie.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't got to this yet, but let's assume my commission as, the fully employed trainee is 40%, right? Your commission as a rookie is, let's say 5%. Is that 5% coming out of mine or is that stacked on top?
No, it's stacked on top, comes out of the company's pocket. So.
Okay, nice. And so basically when you're training a new rookie, you're paying more commission out of the company's pocket per dog, plus an extra hourly base just to get that person up to speed. So you're investing a lot in this person.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
That's fantastic, though. I mean, that shows that you guys are bought in early, and I guess it gives you a real chance to suss out if that person's bought in early before you set them free.
Yep.
Great. That's great. Okay, so after 7 weeks, I get my own van. I start, less with 4 to 6 dogs per day, and then I work my way up.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned 4 10-hour days. Is that I'm gonna ask the same question. Is that for everybody, or is that for just the training?
Yeah, that's what we all do, and then my staff really likes it. They love having those 3 days off. It's a physical job, and to have that one extra day a week, they like having it a lot. So
10 hours though. That's got to be
yeah, it's a big day. Yeah. Now they aren't grooming for the entire 10.
Sure.
So this time of year we start them at 8:00 and we're
Okay.
ending them around 4:30. So
Oh,
they're
okay.
basically getting to wherever, everything's 30 minutes away in Tucson. So they're basically getting in the van at 7:30 in the morning, and they almost always have it parked before 5:00 and done for the day. So that 10 hours is including the drive time, the cleanup time, the restock the van time, that kind of stuff in there too. So
That makes sense. Honestly, that's not too bad when you put it like that.
yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, and having that extra third day does seem like a nice added benefit that you can waive over not only during hiring, but I'm sure it helps with retention as well.
Mhm.
Let's round that corner there. Talk to me about some other of these like added benefits that you found to be very helpful in keeping your team motivated and happy.
Yeah, we pay holiday pay. We pay PTO and sick pay. And then just this year, we're finally big enough that they have medical, dental, and vision benefits as well. So that's been
Man,
really
that's
huge. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really
and
huge.
I mean that probably sets you guys in a whole different world
It
apart
does.
from
It does.
during the
Yeah.
hiring perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did do a stipend for a few years as well. So that was kind of nice. And that was those that took it, whether they had benefits or not benefits, they'd still just get an extra $200 a month, is how that worked out. So we did that for many years, but we finally got built up to enough and had enough people interested that we were actually offering that healthcare this year for the first time. So
That's incredible. What do you think has been the most excitable benefit? If you were to whittle it down and you're like, there's one that I cannot, erase. Which one do you think that is?
now the
Yeah.
medical, the
I mean,
medical.
no, super fair. I mean, obviously, if
Yeah.
I was deciding between working at a mobile without medical and one with medical, I mean, it makes my decision so much easier. I mean,
Yeah.
you said it yourself, even when you were starting, like a lot of people have kids at home, a lot of people have families, a lot of people are doing this because they may or may not be the breadwinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to have medical offered, I mean, that's huge.
It's a big deal. Yeah, it really is.
So, and why you said we just got big enough to be able to offer that. Dumb this down for me here. So when you got to van 6, basically you were pulling in enough money to where it made sense for you guys to pay to offer medical.
Yeah.
That's
So we were close at van 5, but we kept, it was just after COVID, and we kept teetering between that 5 to 7 employees. We couldn't quite keep it solid enough to do it with 5 vans. And I think it was just the after COVID stuff when people were just bouncing all over the place and not wanting to work. And it was strange. It was more strange than during COVID, I think, after COVID.
That's totally yeah. I mean, it's just like it's a very unstable time for everybody.
Yeah.
Talk to me about like maybe some of the people that have stayed with you longer and incentives. Are there incentives to, raise my commission, or maybe like, I don't know, get paid extra, bonuses or whatever? Like, what does that look like? What's the upside look like in your guys' structure?
Yeah, we have like 3 different levels that we structure the commission off of for our groomers. There's basically like a level 1, which is more your rookie that hasn't groomed for a long time and hasn't been with us for a long time either. Then we hit the next step, which would be a level 2, where they become my trainer. So they're making that extra money whenever they train somebody. And then they also have the opportunity to have a little bit higher commission. My commissions are always variable. And then the level 3 is somebody that's been with me 5+ years. They're a trainer. They, just been with me rock solid long time, and they can get even a higher commission. But we do make our commission rates variable, and we make it variable based on performance. So my groomers have had a tendency to always be money motivated. I know some people have non-money motivated staff, and I don't know if it's my pay structure that's always kind of kept them money motivated, or if it's because they're, I don't know, but
Yeah.
they're money motivated
Right.
employees. I don't have that issue. I haven't ever had that issue of non-motivated for money. So, I have bonuses I throw out there. If we hit a record month or this, that, or the other thing, occasionally we throw in the extras. I do little incentives. Like my daughter just got married in August. So right before I left, I gave everybody a $50 Amazon card so they could go and, buy whatever they wanted to buy.
Yeah.
Just keep the business going while I'm gone for the wedding. Okay.
No,
and
sure.
they did great. They did amazing while I was gone. So
when you say your commissions are variable based on performance, what are you looking for in terms of performance? Is it like client reviews? Is that like cleanliness or timeliness? Well, what does that come down to?
You're naming all of them right there. So yeah, we have them all in different categories. Rebooking is huge.
Okay.
The other one that's big is their average daily revenue. So I can have a really great rebooker that only makes $400 a day. I can have a really great rebooker that makes $1,000 a day. So both of those are weighing in.
Okay. So wait, before you move on, I want to just stop you because you just spawned a bunch of questions. So the great rebooker, are you looking at the percentage of clients that they get to rebook and get back on the schedule?
Yes.
And what is someone that's great at that? What does that look like? Is that them,
I've got a 95 to 100% rebooker is one of my lead groomers. She's ridiculous. Outstanding. Yeah.
And what is she doing differently than the rest of them?
She's got outstanding customer service skills.
Okay.
She is proactive with any issues always. She is before she leaves, she's making, hey, my schedule is really full. If you want to get in with me, let's look at an appointment 12 weeks from now or 8 weeks from now or 6 weeks from now. So it's just who she is. She's very money motivated.
That's fantastic. And that's something that is entirely in the groomer's control,
yes.
To get them on the books. Let's flip the coin over to I think you said average order value or average
daily revenue.
Average daily revenue. Okay. So let's talk about that for a minute. What's someone that's really great at that? I know you throw out the number like $1,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing differently than the person that's only getting $400 a day? Am I upselling, like blueberry facial and stuff like that?
Some of it is territory.
Okay.
But a lot of it is throwing in the simple things. Hey, you want to add a toothbrushing? You tell them that. Yeah. So a lot of it is upselling. Some of it's just longevity being with the company it pushes that number way higher too, because you have that real established clientele that you've got. The adding those extras gets those $1,000 days. No problem.
That's a huge difference, $400 versus $1,000 a day, especially if you're money motivated towards those bonuses. Yes. If you're stacking $600 more a day than that other person, that is a huge difference after a month.
Ginormous, yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got rebooking, we've got the average daily revenue. What else is on that list?
There's small things for those that maybe can't hit those giant numbers, and that's band cleaning, being in uniform, doing your paperwork, and then we also do marketing photos. So they need to send at least 3 to 4 marketing photos to us a week.
That's great. I love that, and that is not done enough. I really like that. That's tied into the bonuses.
Yes.
Okay, and those are basically just sent to you.
Oh, and attendance is the other one in there too. Because I might have a great groomer, but I've had great groomers that don't show up to work. So
oh gosh, and that's
and they're going to get dinged for it. Yeah. And being mobile is totally different. You don't have 3, 4, 5 other people in the shop to cover you.
Yeah.
We don't have anybody to cover you unless if it's somebody's day off, and getting somebody to get there on their day off is not easy. Not enough notice usually. So
100%. As we round the corner here to wrap this up, I have one more question, maybe more so that's like a management question for you as you start to grow, or as you guys are growing. Do you make these incentives, maybe this progress, public? So if I'm the $400 groomer, can I see how much better the other ones are doing than me? Okay. Yeah. And do you think that's a net positive or net?
It's been both. I don't do it as often as I used to.
Okay.
because sometimes it discourages them a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but I do it maybe quarterly to half yearly for sure. I sit down with them and reviews twice a year as well. So that's usually when I'll maybe show them everybody's numbers so they can see where they're sitting in comparison. And I try not to do it monthly or weekly or anything anymore because it did, there's rookies, they're still learning skills
Sure.
during because, they don't have that speed yet. And I don't want to discourage them that they're still sitting on the bottom because they're still improving. So as long as I let them know they're still improving, that's all that matters for them. So.
No, I love it. Last question for you, and then we'll wrap. If you were doing things all over again, what would you do differently when it comes to hiring? Relative to what you did at first. You've been at it for a while now, so
I would have always continued hiring and not paused the hiring,
Okay.
because you just don't know when you're going to run across somebody great that you really got to grab. And I made that mistake way back in the beginning, and I'd like turn it off for 6 months to a year because I had a really great staff, and then when I really needed somebody, it was hard to find them.
Yeah, I love that. Like always be hiring. That's a great,
Always be hiring.
a great tip. And I'm sure, especially in today's environment, you could most likely fill the demand. And so if you can find that great groomer, you wanna hold on to them.
Make it work.
Yeah, love it. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been like a pleasure, honestly, diving into hiring with someone who's been there and done just about everything I've asked. That is remarkable. And it's honestly, it makes sense why you guys are almost at 7 vans here. It seems like you've seen everything.
Yeah, it's been great having me. Thank you for having me. So.
Of course. Yeah. And guys, we'll be back next week. That's the pod.